Thank you, Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, Mrs. Sylvie Durer, Ambassador of Israel, Mr. Chaim Asaraf, Honorable guest. My name is Merav Stern, Director General of the Ministry for the Advancement of the Status of Women in Israel. When I entered this position with the holy and crucial mission of advancing the status of women and raising the important awareness in Israel, I could not have imagined that it would become one of the vital and significant positions during this difficult, painful, and complex time for my nation, and especially for the community of women in Israel. Imagine that it is Sunday morning, in our case, Saturday morning, and that without any warning, a group of sadistic terrorists forcefully breaks into your home, murdering, raping, and burning a member of your family. No need to imagine this. Let me take all of us to the horrifying reality on the morning of October 7th in Israel. On Saturday, the 7th of October, at 6:29 a.m., the Hamas terrorist organization launched a cruel war against Israel in an attack that combined rockets fired all over Israel and innovations of about 3,000 terrorists and Gazan civilians into Israel, into the kibbutzim, and into towns along the border with Gaza, as well as a music festival for world peace that took time at the place. The terrorists carried out a mass massacre by all barbaric and sadistic means that can be imagined, while committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. The cold-blooded murderous massacre that I described was evidently not enough for the Hamas terrorists, who live-streamed the sick acts that they committed on social media for the entire world to see, driven by distinct desire to create mental terror among the families in Israel and the entire population. I must present here numbers and description that we never imagined, not as a country, and perhaps even not as an entire humanity. 1,400 men and women, children and babies, entire families were murdered and slaughtered in the savage massacre carried out by many monstrous means, shooting and using many kinds of firearms, burning people alive, including babies, beheading, dismembering limbs, mutilating of intimate body parts in particular, and incomprehensible physical abuse in front of husbands, women, and children, followed by murder in cold blood. Thousands of additional women witnessed the atrocities and will have to cope with severe post-trauma for the rest of their lives. One of the stated goals of the terror war was the brutal rape and the sexual, physical, and mental abuse of Israeli women. The Hamas terrorists raped women in a wide range of ages, from young girls to elderly women, mutilating the sexual organ and breast of women who were still alive with automatic gunfire and knives, raping the corpse of women and girls, cutting open the belly of a pregnant woman and beheading an unborn baby from his mother's body, all in atrocious murder spree that even a specially distorted mind could not come up with. In this chilling testimony, with tear-filled eyes and heart that can barely bear the pain, Mrs. Sherry Mendes, a volunteer in the Institute for Corpse Identification Team, describes part of what Israeli women endured on the terrible day and that will be remembered for eternity. We saw women who were shot in the eyes, in the face, many times in sensitive places, just to mutilate them. Our team was the ones who opened the female body bags. There was blood everywhere. Their underwear was often very bloody. The back of the head were crushed and brains were coming out. One time we were warned, this woman has no legs. Her legs were cut off. Sherry Mendes' Sharing is not a fiction horror movie. It is shattering testimony. As the CEO of the Ministry for the Advancement of Women in Israel, and as a Jewish woman in the Israeli community, it is devastating to see that in response to the most brutal and extensive sexual acts perpetrated in recent history, an entire operation of silencing and gaslighting is happening in front of our eyes, managed by organizations who profess to raise the banner of the protection of women. For 2 months, not even one reaction was heard from any international organization of women's rights. Only now, a forced, weak, and shameful response was received, a response that still does not recognize the atrocities and does not describe them as the murderous war crimes by the Hamas in general, especially the testimonies of the acts of sexual violence carried out against women and children. Following the devastating silence of this organization, the Minister for the Advancement of the Status of Women, Mrs. Mai Golan, and myself approached all of the organization, demanding they take immediate steps. None of these organizations responded to our request. The silence and avoidance of condemnation, and on top of it, the avoidance to take other action they have the authority to exercise, prove to the moderate terrorists that there is one law for the women of the world and another law for the women who are Jewish. In fact, indirectly, their silence serve as an unexpectance of the crimes committed against Israeli women. I will add to this that as of the time I speak to you, many Israeli hostages are still held by Hamas. About half of them girls, young women, mothers, and elderly women. And the silence of the official institute and the international organization is virtually a license to kill them. The rape of women in war is a war crime and a crime against humanity. Article 27 of the Fourth Geneva Convention grants protection to women against any attack on their honor, in particular against rape and forced prostitution or any form of indecent assault. Within the framework of a violence conflict, the purpose of the sexual act is to violate the body and the soul of women in order to break their spirit, and in doing so, also the spirit and the social fabric of the enemy. The State of Israel is committed to equal rights for women and to the fight against discrimination, gender violence, and sexual violence. The commitment of Israel government was known and recognized over the years, and we are glad that this commitment was historically demonstrated with the government's decision to establish for the first time since the state's foundation 75 years ago the Ministry for the Advancement of the Status of Women in Israel. The ministry aims to policy and activity for the advancement of women, to pursue gender equality, eliminate discrimination against women, and mainly to fight violence perpetrated against women. To achieve gender equality, the ministry in Israel acts to ensure that Israeli society as a whole, first and foremost, its leadership and government institute, drive and safeguard equal opportunity, equal access to resource, equal participation in the economy and in decision making, and equal social treatment for women and men. In this important and respected forum, as I stand here as the Director General of the Ministry for the Advancement of the Status of Women in Israel, and the representative of the State of Israel, a forum in which all of you, as a representative of organization for women, for whom the welfare of women, their safety, well-being, and rights to live is at the core of their undertaking. We must all, today more than ever, make sure that our voice is heard for those women whose voices are not heard, for Jewish, Muslim, Druze, and Christian women throughout the world who who watch with a cold-blooded scare of what happened to the Israeli woman and ask themselves, will someone raise their voice if heaven forbidden this will happen to me? I call upon the liberal world and on all women organizations of the free world to raise a strong, clear, and united voice this instant. Raise up, shout, protest, and show public human courage and commitment. Otherwise, history will judge you and will never forget. Women of Israel will never fear again for being Jewish. Never, never again. Thank you.